Hi there! We're going to explore how structure is eating culture all the time. Stay tuned! If we come back and we say that structure is eating culture all the time, then the first thing we need to look at is Larman's laws of organizational behavior. They are not really laws, it's more about an observational result, and it's observations I share at least in large corporate environments. So let us explore Larman's laws of organizational behavior. It has 5 items in there. It used to be 4, it's 5 today. So let's go with number 1. Organizations are implicitly optimized to avoid changing the status quo middle and first level manager and specialist positions and power structures. Meaning that implicitly as an organization we have a structure and we don't really want to change that structure. We are okay that we have a group of specialists somewhere in an isolated environment and another group of specialists in another environment. We are okay with the levels of managers that we have in the organization and we don't really want to change this. And that's the first aspect that is there. If we look at Agile adoptions that are running worldwide at this moment in time, then one of the blocking factors that is coming back is that they say our middle managers don't really want that change. It's not the person. We don't really have bad people. We don't have bad managers. We don't have lousy developers. We actually get the people, or their behaviors at least, as the system is designed for. It's a result of the system design, the structure as such. Anyhow, let's move to number 2 in Larman's laws. Number 2, as a corollary to number 1, any change initiative will be reduced to redefine or overloading the new terminology to mean basically the same as the status quo. Let me give you an example of the observations that I have seen at least. We go to a corporate environment where they tried out Scrum, it doesn't really work out, and then they call the simplification officer. We go in there and we first observe the context. It's always good to first observe the context, evaluate some of the hypotheses you might have in your head. And by observing in the context, what do we see? We see that a person that is now today called a product owner within the Scrum framework as such, we see the product owner behaving as a business analyst. If we then look like, okay, what was the role of this product owner before this kind of agile adoption, before they started using Scrum? They were a business analyst. How did they behave before they became a product owner? They were analyzing requirements that came on from the business department, and they created Visio documents, Word documents, describing the feature or the implementation that is requested. Today they are a product owner. What do we see happening? They do the same thing. They behave the same thing. They describe the feature. They don't do it in a Word document anymore. They don't do it in Visio documents. At this moment in time, they put it in a product backlog. But the behavior is exactly the same. So we use new terminology to not really change anything. We see similar behavior with Scrum Masters. The new Scrum Master used to be the team lead or a project manager, and we go into sprint planning, and what do we see happening over there? We see the Scrum Master standing there, and at the end of the sprint planning go over each individual and fully booked. You cannot take anything else anymore. You really and you are also fully booked. You cannot take any. So this is old behavior and new clothes. We don't really want it. So that's number 2. So I think I have seen this many times, and I hope, or when you listen into this, you might have a reflection moment and say, yes, indeed. You know, those laws are there by observation. It's not scientifically proven, but I share them at least. And I see this happening in many other organizations. Let's move to number 3. As a corollary to number 1, any change initiative will be derived as purist, theoretical, revolutionary religion needing pragmatic customization for local concerns, which deflects from addressing weaknesses and manager specialist status quo. How can I explain this? For example, when I go into an organization and I try to simplify their structures to make sure that they have more of an agility, more of a flexibility on a business level, then we tend to reduce the horizontal and vertical complexity. So we reduce the kind of roles, we reduce the kind of layers, and we put teams together into cross-functional environments. And we always get a pushback, yeah, but we cannot have UX in the teams, or we cannot have the data scientists into the teams. So there's this kind of pushback that we don't really want it. And if we then say, okay, it can happen, and it's a yeah, in theory, but for us, and I'm pretty sure by explaining now and saying, but for us, you also have this reflection moment. Yes, number one is indeed there. Implicitly, we don't really want to address the real weaknesses within our organization, or truly simplify our organization for that matter. Now we have number 4 in the list, the new one that has been added, I think in the last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, as a corollary to number 1. If after changing the change, some managers and single specialists are still displaced, they become coaches, trainers for the change, frequently reinforcing number 2 and number 3. This is what we see happening with this kind of agile transformation crew. So we don't really find places, or we don't really find spots in new structures that would be very simple. And then some of the power hungry people, they still want to be special or being felt special. And then we create this transformation team. And this transformation is going to lead the transformation. You know, if you do an agile adoption, agile never stops. It's continuously uncovering better ways by doing so. Now, the change should be inside the system, not next to the system. Anyhow, I will leave this one for later. That's not as relevant towards structure each culture, which is our 5th rule. In large established organizations, culture follows structure. And in tiny young organization, structures will follow culture. Meaning that in a large organization, the culture is going to be defined by the structure. One example that we have there is in the contract thinking. So I have created a video exploring contract thinking. If we think about a contract with scope, time and budget fixed, now we are going to design the organization or make sure that people in the organization behave in a certain way, which is not that useful, to be honest. If you want to explore this further, please go and watch the video in my channel related to contract thinking, and then you will understand what I mean with a structural process like contracts in scope, time and budget. There's another example that I want to give to you. Another example from my past. I've been 16 years an employee in an organization, and I became a team lead and so on and so on. And I grew to be manager of 5 sites in Europe. But at a certain moment in time, I got this request from HR that I needed to spend a couple of euros, so I think 50 or 60 euros ahead, for every person directly reporting to me. So because people were directly reporting to me in the HR systems, I need to make sure that we did some 50 euro per head team building activity. And I didn't really see the need, but you know, in my context, it was useful. So we spent the 50 euros, we had team building, that was useful. If we don't change structure, imagine now, really, like imagine now, take it with me. Now, we force people to go on a team building during the weekend. We force people to leave their family and their kids behind. Some people will be okay with that, some people will not be okay with that. Some people will feel like, yeah, but I'm already the entire week together with my colleagues at work, and now I also need to spend in the weekend with my colleagues there. Oh, so also there already you have some friction ongoing. But then again, let's go into the mountains and have some team building and evening barbecues and lots of drinks, and we really start bonding. We really start feeling like, oh yeah, we get to know each other. Yeah, we really start to feel like one family, one team. And this is great. On Sunday afternoon, we go back home. We talk to our spouses or partners in life, our kids, how amazing it was, how I now feel really connected to my team members, how we really are in one family. And then on Monday morning, when I enter the work office, then I open up my laptop, I take my ticket into work in progress, and I start doing my stuff. I move it on, I take the next one, I do my stuff. In the evening, I close the lid of my laptop, I go home. Next day, it repeats itself. So the system is not designed for me that I need to collaborate with my peers The system is designed that I can work on my own. The effect of this one family in 2 weeks is lost, it's vaporized, it's gone again. Why? Because the structure is not designed for having a culture of one family. And it's important. We could have used, we could have said, okay, give us the money and €5 billiards. We go to the company parking lot, we put it on fire, have a dance around it, then we go inside. The effect would be pretty much the same. But at least we didn't force people to spend a weekend away from their family. If we really want to spend money on team building, or really having this culture of one family, then we need to design a work structure that needs this kind of one family dependency on working with each other through collaboration. And if we design a structure like that, and then we spend this money on this culture aspect, then it will become useful, impactful. If the structure doesn't require this kind of cultural need, then it's a waste of money. And this is Larman's organizational behavior and the laws, and a couple of examples from my past that I want to share with you. But it's not only Larman, it's not only me. We also have John Seddon, a very famous systems thinker. And he also had this kind of clash with Jeffrey Liker, really the person behind lean thinking and many practices. And they had a conversation about changing people and doing lots of this red button solutions that we need to have activities done on the people. Where John Seddon really is saying like, okay, you know what? It's a waste of time. It doesn't work. It's not even good to think about people interventions. We need to do structural interventions, and then people will follow up on that. And here's some quite some nice quotes on that. So I will make sure that the video is in the comments so that you can also go to that one and look for yourself how John Seddon is bringing this to the world. Then again, for me, this is good enough, and I hope that with giving these examples, you also see like, you know what, if we weren't a certain kind of culture aspect in our organization, now we will need to rethink and redefine our structure so that this culture can grow into it. First, working on culture and hoping that the structure will change is a lost battle. Thanks for watching. There's more like this coming up on organizational structures, on processes, on planning, on forecasting, on technical practices, actually reducing complexity on horizontal, vertical, spatial and technical domain. Please subscribe to my channel, do the ringer over there. See you next time. Bye bye.